Hi, this is Bill. You're watching the second devlog on the word game Codoo. So just a recap, Codoo is a word game where the player has to prompt the AI to say a certain word. And the word is given to the player in different categories. As player progress, the words will get harder, and there will be words that are forbidden for the player to include in the prompt. What I've got so far is the entire session from start to finish. I'll show you guys. So initially, the system admin Ada will give you a word or give you the rules. Hit start, and then you'll be given a category, difficulty, and instructions, and the whole flow. So let's say it's ready to start. So geometry, a subject in math, 10th grade for a 10th grader. See, okay, there it is. It says the word geometry, and system admin detects the word geometry in the response, and that finished the session. Disable the send button shows up the start button. I will replace this with a scoring screen very soon. Another thing to see is this is the save file. So as soon as the session is done, it will do a save. And as you can see, the word geometry category, the forbidden words, the whole message log, word count, prompt count, grade, grading system, all of that is created this week. So all the words that are unique, and also failure scenarios where if you have more than 5 prompts. Math again. Oh, that's strange. I'm surprised that's a category 2 for addition, but let's say it's something. No, I'll just be vague and try to exceed the prompt. Is it a skill or related? Just try. See, after that 5th response or 5th prompt, when the AI respond, if it still doesn't have the word in it, system admin will kick in and say maximum 5 prompt reach. Did not have that a code word. Basically, you failed. If you look at the save, success, false, grade F, 5 prompts, word count, and the whole message. So I'm going to build a pop-up for basically this next week. So I have a success, a failure, I have the save, I have also a bunch of unlockable already coded. So with that, I'll go over the progress. So I've broken down the development into 3 branches. The game design, which is already done. How I basically think the game should run from start to finish, and how to keep people engaged, make it fun. The coding, and then UI UX. I'll go over each one of these blocks for people who are interested in coding. Let's get right to it. So this is the save system, and this is the save manager, and basically I decided to go with saving it as JSON instead of XML. I took a class on the save system on Udemy. I'll post a link below. It's really helpful, but when I decide which one is easier for me to build, I decided to use JSON. It's a little bit more readable for me. compared to XML, where tags are everywhere. In the JSON file, this is the basic structure, and there's also, learned this from ChatGPT, there you can declare a variable and just write a function for that variable. So you don't have to do a count outside of the class when you call it. And then here's a way to set unlockables as they get unlocked. There's a way to create new game save when the player first play. There's a game save function, add a temp word. So every session, this, whether if it's a success or fail, these data will be added on the JSON file. Load game and create custom category, set player name. Pretty much all the data about the player progression are in this file. And to call this, I would go to the session manager. I load it into the game manager and pull that from so this is one thing I learned, is to always refer to one source of game save data. You shouldn't, like the session manager should not pull a game save data on its own, because there will be a mismatch between what's running on the game manager. So I load the game save to the game manager. Anytime there's a change, I save it through the game manager. I don't let other classes to read or write directly to the save file. I don't know if this is the right approach, but it's working for me. So if I need to save, so in the session manager, at the end of the round, if I need to save, I have this create new attempt function. Basically, it converts all the exchanges to a string, and then I create a new attempt, and then have all these information and save it into the game save data right down here. So using that game save manager, I save game with that save data. All right, so that's the game save system. In the scoring system, that one's very simple. So it will be in the rank calculations, just one function. It takes a number of prompts and a word count, and I also did this with ChatGPT. I put more weight on the number of prompts to over the word. Number of prompt is 1 to 5, and word count, I gave it a 100 maximum. So the weight is balanced so that if you make one prompt and up to like 60 words and you get it the first time, you get an A. If you have two prompts but under 20 words, you'll still get an A. And then it goes down from there. If you have one prompt over 60 words, you get a B, or two prompt over 20 words, you get a B. If you have three prompts, then that puts you in the B and C range. And if you have four prompts, it'll be a B, C, or D range. So that's how the weight works. So one more thing I'll go over is how I use ChatGPT. It was tremendously helpful in Like here, it's a long chat. Basically, I built the entire save system with ChatGPT. I listed out all the unlockables initially and asked like which one is, or do you see any issues? It gave me some feedback and also helped me choose XML versus JSON, and then start building out the rest of the game save and how to test it. And here's a chat about grading system. So go all the way to the top. I asked like, hey, I'm designing this game, gave it some parameters, it gave me some functions, and then I clarify the word count and attempt max. It updates the function, and I told it to write it in C. And it did. I ran some tests, and I told it I want to have this specific score if I have these prompts and these word counts. Can you adjust the weight? And it did. And I ran some tests. It does what it says. And so this one was failed. I try to, instead of me testing numbers one at a time, I try to tell it to run or give me a table running that code, and it basically said it cannot run the code, but it can help me write a debug log that runs every scenario in 5-word increment and in debug.log. So I ran it with the debug log. I was able to verify it's giving me the right rating and weight that I want. So that's how I built the scoring system in less than half a day. So one thing that I learned that I should have done better next time if I were to use ChatGPT more is the UI system is instead of using the Unity UI, I should have used the UI toolkit, which is more like HTML, CSS code base rather than dragging and dropping stuff and adding components in the Unity UI that I'm using right now. Because I will definitely suffer next week when I work on the UI. I'll show you guys. This is fine. When I was working on the user profile, like all the spacing, where to put the buttons, it's all done by adjusting various like parameters, layouts. Like if I need a scroll bar, I need to add the right component, assign like the right stuff into the right field, and it's easy to mess up. And I don't know if I had all the right settings first time. So a lot of experimenting and looking on forums. Like one time I couldn't figure out why the scroll bar isn't working, and it was because the list field is set as the same size as the view panel, and it should have been longer for the scroll bar to show up. I'll show you guys. So if I go to simulator, if it fits, the scroll bar disappears. If it's on the iPad, for example, the scroll bar shows up. Like this part took me 2 hours. Like I know if I were to do this in UI Toolkit, I could have just pasted the code in GPT and it questions like, what did I do wrong? And I'll get to the solution much quicker than searching for forums. So yeah, that's what I got so far on week 2. Next week, the stuff I'm working on is going to be this. Like I said, UI focus and tying all the UI elements into code. and having all the unlockable functions working, like having AI speak a certain way, or having the AI compose a poem or a limerick or haiku as a special function, or various kinds of unlockables to work. And then after that, the last part will be music and analytics the week after that. So that's all for this week. Thanks for watching. See ya.